More people are consuming things on Twitter, on X, than there are on anything else. They're consuming information through the internet, through YouTube, for good or for bad. Whether it's
Welcome to Verbal on Life. My name is Noel, battling MS. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan. They had a great interview on the JRE podcast, or the Joe Rogan program. And it's a long interview. They had like over 2 hours. So we're not going to play that. I'm only going to put in a few minutes, a few ideas that I think were amazing. But if this is the first time on the channel, go ahead and click on that like and subscribe button. We're trying to grow this channel, and hopefully you enjoy the content and it earns your subscription. Let's take a look.
Sure. They do that with abortion. They
do
say
with everything.
A woman has a right to choose reproductive freedom. They say all these things. And then you say, okay, what if the baby is near term? What if it's 6 months old? What if it's 7 months old? And people don't want to have that conversation.
Why?
A woman has the right to choose. You're a fascist. Stay out of women's bodies.
Does a woman have a right to kill you if you annoy her or inconvenience her?
Well, this is where it gets weird. It's like, when is it a life? But it is one of those things that, to me, is a human problem. Yeah. Whereas humans have these very messy interactions with some things that don't line up with their ideology. And there's an ideology of science worship. There's an ideology of authoritarian worship. The bodies of science have bestowed the truth. If you ignore it, you're a science denier. And,
those are political terms or theological terms.
Mm-hmm.
They're not terms rooted in science. And look, we all make trade-offs constantly. Everything's bad. It's a shit sandwich versus a shit croissant. I'll take the shit croissant. It's smaller. That's a daily experience for everyone.
It's all bad. Just how bad do you want it? Oh, what do you want your experience to be? It's pretty good.
Everybody. So I get that. And I don't think everything is a moral absolute either. We don't even know sometimes whether a decision will result in good or bad. So it's very complicated. I totally agree with that. What I object to is the absence of reason.
Right.
You have to believe, because I think it's true, that if you're reasonable, that you can reach maybe not the perfect decision, but a better decision. And if we don't believe that, then we're just in the land of witchcraft, and let's just admit it. So the lack of reason is what freaks me out.
Well, it's ideological capture, right? Because there's certain things that if you're on the right side of these subjects, the correct side, whatever your ideology believes, you can't differ from the doctrine. There's a very clear
that's
doctrine.
Just religion, then.
It is.
Yeah,
it is religion.
So I'm very pro-religion, but you can't have a religion that's too stupid and destructive. If your religion winds up hurting a lot of people, then I'm against your religion. That's right.
Yeah, I think, but even some really good religions have aspects of them that you could say were overall detrimental to the people that were.
Sure. Well, absolutely.
That's my only problem with religion, personally, that they push people, some religion, they push people to do crazy things where they're hurting others, or they may be hurting loved ones, like their own family. So that's the only thing I'm afraid of following any religion, because who knows what's the right decision? How about to don't be evil, don't hurt others? Comment below, what do you think? Let's keep listening.
You could
encountered with them. Yeah. I think that kind of thinking, I think cult thinking, whether it's Scientology or whether it's Christianity, or there's a type of thinking, or that's woke. Woke is clearly a cult. It's a mind virus. And I think that it's so trite to call it that now. It's whatever this thing is, this leftism, this Marxist sort of ideology that's waving its flag and indoctrinating people in this country. It's very similar to all kinds of religions. It's very similar to fundamentalist religions that have always existed, in that everybody has to believe very specific things, and you can't differ. You can't differ from the doctrine. And
here's another way to think about it that I've been meditating on this a lot. Yes, religion, politics, they're all kind of melding. It's hard to know where one ends and another begins.
Right.
So maybe a simpler and more useful way to think about it is truth or falsehood. lying or honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should assess everything that way. Is someone lying?
Right.
I don't care what your justification for it is. Lying about vaccines. They've lied a lot about
Right.
vaccines. And they've done it, I think, in most cases because they feel like they're serving some greater good.
Right.
Like
Well, that's the narrative, right?
We can't tell people that there are vaccine injuries because they won't get vaccines, which are good for a big population. I understand the thinking. But how about this? You can't participate in lying.
Yeah.
You can't lie.
You can't lie, and you can't.
Like, period, though. You can't lie about anything. Just don't lie about anything. Try to tell the
Right.
truth all the time. If you can't say something that's true, just don't say it.
Right.
You're not required to say everything you think, obviously.
That is extremely difficult to get to people in general to always tell the truth. People automatically wants to go with the narrative, whatever the narrative or what everybody else is saying. And then once you get a whole bunch of people thinking the same way, then that becomes the truth. And you sort of lying indirectly. You know what I mean? Like you just lying because that's what the narrative is or what everybody else is saying. And it's a horrible situation.
And you shouldn't say everything you
Right.
think. But you should never lie. And if you just stick with that, like you get pretty quickly back to reason and order, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're making complete sense. And I think that this is.
And also the people that lie are the people at the top. There's some people that really know the true answers. And then we call these guys the professionals or the scientists, and they are the ones telling us. So it must be true. So then it becomes an overall lie because we're just going by what the professional said. And that is crazy. I'm glad Joe didn't go for it because he's a celebrity. You know, he used to be part of that circle, the Hollywood circle, but he didn't buy into it. You know, he make his own money doing his podcast. Comment below. Let's keep listening.
Is the problem when people have information and power above other people.
Well, right. That's
right.
For sure.
Which is the problem of governments, which is also the problem of cult leaders.
Yeah.
You know, cult leaders, they get completely infatuated with this idea of being omnipotent and this power that has control over giant swaths of people, and you get to dictate their behavior and you get to tell them what to think. That's very intoxicating, and it's common. It's common in that it's always existed throughout human history. It's a thing that people do when they get power. They abuse the shit out of it. And if they think that you're too stupid to know the truth and that they're better than you, because they do think they're better than you because they're running things. It's a natural inclination. It's a natural thought that people have. If they're the ones, if you guys are a bunch of dopes that are just listening to my orders and I tell you how to live your life and what to do, I'm naturally going to think I'm better than you.
Well, people have lived under those systems since there have been systems, but
always.
What makes it particularly galling and hard to live with is when you call that system a democracy.
Right.
That's too dishonest for me. I would much rather live in a monarchy where everyone thinks the king has been assigned by God to rule over us and his whims are law. And, that makes sense. I don't like it, but at least it has internal coherence.
Right.
When they stand up and pass a $60 billion funding bill for Ukraine, when 70% of the population doesn't want it, when they're ignoring the actual problems in our country, like the economy and the border, and they're calling in Congress over the weekend to pass something that people don't want, while ignoring the things that people do want. And if they do the same kind of thing again and again for like 50 years, and they call it a democracy, that will drive you insane.
Yeah.
Because it's just too dishonest. Why not just say, we don't give a shit what you want. We are getting something out of this Ukraine funding, whether it's like the thrill of being masters of the universe or whether it's money from the defense contractors, whatever we're getting out of it is more important to us than your opinion. This is not self-government. You don't run this country. We do. Shut up and obey. If they at least said that, you'd be like, okay, I get it. Those are the terms. But if I get another fucking lecture from Joe Scarborough about defending democracy, when this is not a democracy, it's not even a close approximation of a democracy, then I'm going to go crazy because I just can't deal with the lying.
Yeah.
Wow, that was good. And I really like that last point that Tucker made because it's so true. Like to this day, I still don't get it. Why we are sending so much money to Ukraine when we have so many problems here. Like, I hate the narrative of saving democracy. And I don't know who was following along with that and saying, yes, Yes, we need to defend him. But the percentages are not there. I like the fact that Tucker Carlson just pointed out the fact that the majority of people here don't agree with this craziness of just forgetting what the problem that we got and sending all the money over to another country, putting ourselves into more debt because this is so important. Wow, that is so honest. Pretty good. Comment down below, what do you think, man? I think it was a great episode. Tucker Carlson just dropped some truth bombs, and more people need to listen to this, and that's why I'm showing it on my channel. So please, if you stuck around for this long, go ahead and subscribe and click on that like button so more and more people can hear this narrative. All right, and see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Verbal or life.
Why they keep saying that in order to protect democracy, we got to send billions to Ukraine. We got to continue this war with Russia. This is insane. And more, that's why we need Trump in office. Because at the end of the day, Trump is removing the blanket and showing us that these politicians are thieves, that they don't want what's best for you and I, or they don't want what's best for Americans. It's all a narrative. And the more and more they preach it on television, on regular television channels, the more and more we believe it, because that's what people are watching. But thanks to social media, other people get to voice their opinion. So, my opinion, Trump 2024. Peace.
He's not lying.
Donald Trump, hero. He's our last hope. I'm going to expand on this. Donald Trump is the last hope of Western civilization. He can't stop the decay, but he can slow it down. If he doesn't win, it's over. If Trump doesn't win, he is done. It is over game. Because the circumstances around him not winning are going to be insane.